Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5, the Don Lemon Show. We're so happy that you're here. Look who's on time. Look, I'm on time today, okay? Because I want to get through all of this. There's a lot to get through, and I want to make sure that I get through to it quickly because I think this is important. I've been wanting to pay more attention, actually, not do this, more attention to the folks down south, right? At least 223 people have been killed. So far, that's all they found. Helene is now the deadliest hurricane to hit the mainland U.S. since Katrina. That was back in 2005. We all remember that. Dozens or possibly hundreds of people are still missing. Roughly half the victims were in North Carolina, while dozens were killed in South Carolina and in Georgia. Now, you would think at times like this, okay, in this really true crisis that we have going on, you would think that, maybe Americans would come together, that politicians would really put their differences aside, right? That's what you would think. Just to get help for the folks who need it. In fairness, some are, but not MAGA, not Donald Trump and his allies on the far right. They have seized upon this Hurricane Helene, and they are suggesting that the storm was created by Democrats and that Joe Biden is deliberately stealing aid money, and Kamala Harris, see, I was looking at the soundbite. Kamala Harris stealing money and directing it to Black and brown immigrants. I'm not kidding. You want to know why I'm not kidding? Because I will tell you. Last night, Donald Trump. Well, first of all, let me tell you what happened, okay? Because I need to just update you real quick on what the truth is, because then I don't want you to fall prey or victim to. Oh, by the way, wow, I forgot about this. I don't want you to fall prey or victim to some mistruths, okay? So it's been more than a week since this hurricane hit. In 2019, that you should know, Trump's administration approved taking over $250 million from the nation's national disaster relief coffers to fund his plans for the southern border, okay? Now the former president is attempting to malign the federal response to Hurricane Helene by lying about the Biden administration, saying that they stole these FEMA funds to support operations at the border. At a Thursday rally that I'm just about to show you in Saginaw, Michigan, Trump claimed that the Biden-Harris administration stole the FEMA money, like they stole it from a bank, so they could give it to their illegal immigrants, and that they want to have their vote for them this season. It is a lie. This is him last night. It's quick. Watch.
It's happening. They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them this season. They're trying.
So that is a lie. In 2019, when he was president, Donald Trump's administration approved taking over $250 million from the nation's national disaster relief coffers to fund his plans for a southern border wall. By the way, he never finished that wall, a wall he said that Mexico was going to pay for, and they did not. Okay. And then today you have to listen very closely because he's doing the helicopter chat that he used to do when he was president, where he says that FEMA is busted. Not true. That they don't have any more money, that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are not doing their job, and that somehow they are responsible for everything that has happened, including, I would imagine, controlling the weather. But we'll talk about that next. Watch. Okay, so the man just lies. He just lies, and he knows he can. Nobody holds him accountable for it. He lies so much that people have gotten used to it. This is a fact check from CBS News on the lie about FEMA and the stolen money and the supposedly they don't have any money in the $1 billion. It's all a lie. Here it is.
Former President Trump held his own rally in Michigan yesterday where he spread another baseless conspiracy theory about hurricane relief funds. Listen to this.
They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them this season.
CBS News campaign reporter Libby Cathy is joining us now with more on this. All right, Libby, the lie that the former president just delivered on that stage at that rally yesterday, explain where that conspiracy theory came from and why is he saying it if it's not true?
Yeah, good morning, Vlad. A couple of mistruths in that clip we just heard from the former president. One, non-citizens cannot vote in U.S. elections. Secondly, money is not being stolen from FEMA. And actually, the agency has had to put up a website called Rumor Response Hurricane Helene to combat some of this misinformation that is circulating while first responders are on the ground trying to recover from this hurricane. So Trump yesterday, you heard that clip saying that money is being stolen from FEMA, from migrants. Where we think this originates is there is another program under Homeland Security, just like FEMA is, and it is called the Shelter and Services Program that provides funds and to support to non-citizens awaiting their court proceedings. But this is totally separate from FEMA. FEMA has said they have enough money for Hurricane Helene recovery, and that's why they put up this website to try to get at this misinformation. And it's not the first mistruth we've heard from the former president on Hurricane Helene response in particular. He also has repeated the claim that red areas, that Trump areas, are not getting the same support that blue areas are. There is no evidence to support that claim, Vlad, as FEMA is trying to, on the ground, combat this misinformation in real time.
Okay, so it's all a lie. Everything he says is a lie, and he is not held accountable for it. People love him and support him. His folks are, gonna say, "Hey, he's right." They're gonna believe it because they live in an echo chamber. They're also gonna believe this, I am sure, because no one is a bigger supporter of the MAGA cult than Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted this out, trying to say that it was Democrats or it was Joe Biden or it was Kamala Harris who's controlling the weather that is responsible for the storm. Okay? Yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Okay, this isn't the first boneheaded thing that she said. This isn't the first really uneducated, ignorant thing that's come out of her mouth. This is not the first time that she believes that the weather can be controlled. Remember, she's a climate denier. And she said this really just idiotic, ludicrous thing at a congressional hearing not so long ago. Here it is.
Not affecting climate change. You're going to tell me that back in the Ice Age, how much taxes did people pay and how many changes did governments make to melt the ice? The climate is going to continue to change. And there is no reason to just open up our borders and allow everyone in and continue to funnel over $50 billion or however many billions of dollars or trillions of dollars to foreign countries all over the world simply because they don't like the climate change. Mr. Chairman.
Did people pay taxes back in the Ice Age? I'm just, just. Wow. And she is an elected representative. I can't believe it. Well, actually, I can. The cult that is MAGA. Okay, so there's also been reports out there about this investigation into this plastics plant that I just want to tell you about. Let me just read this about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I want you to be informed. She has pushed this preposterous conspiracy theory. That was on Thursday. That someone at the very top created the hurricane. While many Republicans, like Donald Trump, have been quick to criticize the federal response to Hurricane Helene, Greene has started pointing fingers as to who could possibly be behind the weather event, which most normal people would understand to be caused by hot air and cold air. Yes, they control the weather, Greene wrote in a post on X. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Okay. The brilliant and great scholar and meteorologist, clientologist, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also in this hurricane news, sadly, I told you what the death toll is, and there are hundreds of people, feared dozens, if not hundreds of people who are feared missing in all of this. And 223 people confirmed so far as of while this is streaming live. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the state's criminal investigation agency, said Wednesday it is looking into allegations against an Irwin plastics factory where several workers died and some went missing after they were swept away by waters from Hurricane Helene. So here's the deal. So at this plant, you had these workers that were called in. Most of them are Mexican immigrants, and they're working at this plant. And it is believed, they are alleging that they were told they could not leave the plant. Okay, because and then once they were told it was okay to leave, it was too late, and then they died. So they're still investigating this. At the request of the First Judicial District Attorney General Steve Finney, TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, agents are investigating allegations involving impact plastics. Leslie iHeart, the Bureau spokesperson, said in a statement to NBC News that the Bureau deferred additional questions to the District Attorney General's office. So these folks, some are missing, and they believe some died because they were the water just overcame them. The water rushed in and it was too late. Some of them were standing on top of equipment. Some of them even got on top of buildings. Some got on top of cars. And some of them did not make it. And so there is an investigation now as to what happens. Were they really told not to leave? Or did it just come in too late and they couldn't get out? But there's an investigation. Now, the guy who owns the factory is denying that, or who owns the plant is denying it, but there are reports that he was hours before checking on his vintage sports car that was stored there. Relatives of the missing and deceased workers and factory employees who survived have alleged that they were made to show up to work despite the hurricane moving through the area. Some have said that they were denied the chance to leave before the floodwaters were heavy. Rainfall inundated the plastics factory, the parking lot, and cut off their escape routes. Robbie Jarvis, one of the surviving employees, told NBC News his requests to leave were denied, and he was told instead to move his car, which he did twice. It's a sad situation, what's happening there. It's a really sad situation, and the devastation is a lot bigger, and it runs a lot deeper than people knew, obviously than people anticipated. And they are still finding spots there that they hadn't seen, that have been demolished, obliterated. Now, I will tell you that this is going to affect the election, because they will not, I don't believe, they're going to have to do it quickly. I don't believe that many of these places, definitely not all of them, but I don't believe many of them will have their polls or their polling places up and running by election time. And remember, and you can vote early, and some of that is gone. It is a big red area, but also there are some blue. The place like Asheville is a big city. That's where Democrats are the majority, and that they count on those votes from those large urban areas to support Democrats. If they can't get their voting places back up and running, if they can't get the early people to get out and vote early, or the early voters out, then there's going to be some trouble there. So look for some changes possibly in the voting practices in the storm ravaged areas. But also, not only the people, they're all over social media blaming now FEMA, and it's going to start trickling up to the administration. And then, of course, they're going to blame Kamala Harris because she's running for president and they want her to lose. So they're going to start blaming her fairly or unfairly. I mean, the scope and size of this, I mean, how could they, in a day or two, it's just not possible. I have been, electricity has been knocked out for storms in my area, power lines down, and it took days for them to come. And it wasn't even as nearly as catastrophic as Hurricane Helene. So when you think about it, fairly or not, she's going to get blamed for it. The federal government is going to get blamed for it. Joe Biden is going to get blamed for it. Kamala Harris is going to get blamed for it as well. That's what's going to happen. And it could affect the vote, not only for people being able to show up, but for enthusiasm about Kamala Harris, who is part of the current administration, the people who are in the White House and who are tasked with getting emergency services out and systems back up and running. Okay? But I just want people to remember this, right? As bad as it seems, it has been worse from leadership at the top. It has been worse. I think people would be better off now than they were back then when there were hurricanes that hit the United States when Donald Trump was in office. You could be hearing this instead of some very serious and professional minds. Watch. A throwback.
Great job in helping with Florence. This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Rarely have we had an experience.
The hurricane was wet. Again, as I say, it could be worse. You could have that man saying that hurricane was wet from the situation as it refers to water. Okay? Now, again, I want you to remember this. He's saying that FEMA has no money. A lie. That $1 billion has been stolen from FEMA, and that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are responsible, when the actual truth is, and I mean, he is deflecting even before anyone mentioned it. Back in 2019, Donald Trump's administration approved taking over $250 million from the nation's national disaster relief coffers to fund his plans for the border wall, which was not finished and which was not paid for by Mexico. Now, I remember when just, a couple months or so ago, I am old enough to remember when people said that they were ride or die for Joe Biden and that he was in the race and he was in the race to stay. And some people are missing, there's nostalgia. Some people are missing Joe Biden. And when confronted with what's going on and everything, and even look, the polls are tightening and people are nervous, Joe Biden, the president, took to the briefing room at the White House today to give a briefing, and then he was asked this question by reporters. Watch his response.
Thank you, Mr. on long-range weapons?
Do you want to reconsider dropping out of the race? I'm back in.
What made you want to come here today?
He is funny. Come on. How can you not like the man? How can you not like Joe Biden? How can you not like him? I mean, that was pretty funny. I'm back in. So I want to just talk to you guys for a moment here, because the wettest, Carmen Mendoza. Carmen, think about what's going on. I want you guys to think about it. Think about it. So you think about all of the money that was spent on, saying, oh, there were, the Biden-Harris administration doesn't have money. If they don't have money, maybe it's because of, I don't know, all of Trump's PPP loans and what he had to do because he handled the administration, the pandemic so poorly. Maybe that was part of it. That they had to give out all this money to get the economy back on track, and that he had to take money from FEMA and the national response coffers, emergency response. Maybe, but you could have someone in the White House saying that this was the wettest, rather than saying whatever the people down south need, give it to them. Now, just remember that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not out on backhoes. They're not out on tractors. They're not out in emergency trucks and fan boats. They're not the people who go out to rescue people. They are the ones who talk to the emergency officials, make sure that they get in place. There are people who are tasked with those jobs. Okay? So be kind to one another. I know it's tough for the people who are there. I can say patience as I'm sitting in my air-conditioned home. I have been there before, and maybe not to the extent. Well, you know, my family was there for Katrina. I've seen devastation like this. It's nothing like Katrina. This is awful. And not that you're comparing disasters, but FEMA was big, and this is big as well. But patience, send money if you can. If you're concerned so much about money, send money if you can, and help in any way that you can. You can send money to the Red Cross or to whomever, okay? But make sure you like and hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and you like, okay? So I told you, did you guys see what I put in the chat before? I said, hey, get here early, Lemonheads, get here early, because Don Lemon's got to get a train. I have to go and get a train because I got to get out of town, okay? So I appreciate you joining us. Make sure you, oh, by the way, oh, you guys, do you guys know Keke Palmer? Remember Keke Palmer? So I'm going to be on Keke Palmer's podcast. They said, hey, I am Keke Palmer. So my book is it's doing very well, by the way. I Once Was Lost, My Search for God in America. So pick it up and read this weekend. And this weekend, I may hop on with you guys and we can do a little book reading, okay? And we can talk about it, all right? So I love you guys. Have a great weekend, Lemonheads. I appreciate you joining us. And I will see you up this weekend. Let's do it. Let's have a little book talk, okay? So if you haven't gotten it, make sure you get it and I'll see you. And look, in the chat, it tells you where you can donate to the Red Cross. We pinned it to the top of the chat. All right. Have a good one. I'll see you, Lemon Nation. I love you. Keep growing our subscribers. We want to get to 1 million soon. All right. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button, too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.